I'm going to show you a simple step-by-step method to study any topic without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. We'll use something called brain schema. Don't worry, I'll explain everything in a super easy way. First, understand why your brain struggles when you face a tough topic or a chapter full of new information. Your brain has three main types of memory. Long-term memory. It is a vast store of knowledge, holding information for months, years, or even a lifetime. It contains facts, skills, and memories you've learned over time. Short-term memory. It temporarily holds a limited amount of information for a few seconds. And working memory. It is like your brain's temporary workspace. It uses new information you just learned, which is in your short-term memory, and things you already know, which is in your long-term memory, to help you understand, think, and solve problems. For example, when reading a chapter, the words of a single sentence enter your short-term memory. Your working memory then holds that sentence in mind while you read the next line. The new line replaces the previous one, but your working memory has already stored the last line. This new line also moves to working memory. Now it tries to link the multiple lines together and help you understand the paragraph. Working memory also connects new information to your long-term memory, which makes understanding easier. Without this coordination, each sentence would feel isolated, and understanding the chapter as a whole would be difficult. The problem is that your working memory is very limited. It can only hold about 5 to 9 chunks of information at a time. So when you open a heavy chapter packed with new concepts, definitions, and complex ideas, your working memory gets overloaded. That's why you feel stuck and nothing seems to click. Let's try a quick brain exercise to see how your working memory really works. I want you to try and memorize this sequence in just 10 seconds. Alright, now try to recall the sequence. Feeling a bit lost? That's completely normal. As I said, your working memory can only handle about 5 to 9 items at a time. So when you try to remember 16 separate numbers at once, your brain basically throws up its hands and says, nope. Now let's look at the exact same numbers but grouped differently. Take a moment to memorize this. Which one did you find easier to process? Comment below. Most people will find the second one easier. Why is that? Because we did two things. First, we grouped 16 separate digits into 4 groups of 4. This is called chunking. Second, your brain connected those groups to something meaningful, years. The moment your brain recognized them as years, they became much easier to process. And that's what we call a schema. A schema is simply a mental structure your brain builds to organize related information. The cool part is each schema takes up just one chunk in your working memory, even if the information inside it is pretty complex. That's why your brain can handle something like 4 chunks of 16 digits at a time without freaking out. Here's a simple way to picture it. Think of your brain as a juggler. Your working memory is like juggling 3 balls at a time. It can manage that, but if someone suddenly throws 15 balls at it, what happens? Total chaos. It'll drop most of them. Now, if you put those 15 balls into 3 bags of 5, suddenly juggling becomes much easier. No overload, no stress. That's exactly how schemas work. They help your brain organize information into manageable chunks, so even the toughest topics feel easier to handle. We're going to use this same trick to take the load off your working memory while studying, and that's what will make learning feel so much easier. And here's the step-by-step process. Step 1. Skim the chapter. Don't jump straight into reading every single line. Take a moment, relax, and just scan the surface. Look at the headings, subheadings, summaries, keywords, and diagrams. This gives your brain a quick map of what's coming and starts warming up your schema. Step 2. Activate your schema. Ask yourself, what do you already know about the skimmed keywords or visualizations? The knowledge you can recall right now is part of that existing schema, and those unfamiliar words you notice while skimming. Your brain creates placeholders for them in that schema. Think of them like empty slots in the schema, ready to be filled later. At this stage, details don't matter. Step 3. Active reading. Once you've skimmed, go back and read in detail. But don't just read passively. Visualize what you're learning. Keep a notebook or sheet of paper ready. Make a quick mind map as you move along. Use short labels, arrows, and simple links to show how the ideas connect. This way, new information turns into visual chunks that plug right into your existing schema easily. And as your understanding grows, you'll be able to refine and update that schema. Step 4. Active recall and spaced repetition. When you finish a topic, don't just close the book and forget about it. Do closed book recall within a few minutes or hours, then revisit it in a day or two, then after a week, then a month, and even a few months down the line. You can explain the idea out loud as if you were teaching it. Without this kind of retrieval, the knowledge may fade in days or weeks. With it, the schema gets stronger and more permanent. Now let's see how this works with a real example. Imagine you're reading a chapter on World War II without much background knowledge. Right away, you're flooded with leaders, treaties, countries, politics, and economics. If you read line by line, it's like driving through a new city with no map. You try to remember every street and every sign, but you end up lost. Instead, start with skimming. You'll notice names like Stalin, Mussolini, Hitler, fascism, Nazism. Subheadings like Treaty of Versailles, Axis versus Allies powers, etc. You'll probably see a world map with highlighted countries. And here's what happens. Your brain starts waking up old memories. Maybe you watched a documentary about Hitler. Maybe you heard about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Or maybe you already know a bit about dictatorship. That prior knowledge kicks in and gives you a framework to hang new information in. At the same time, skimming creates empty slots for things you don't know yet. When you go back and read in detail and make a quick mind map as you go, those slots get filled and updated. Now the chapter feels structured, not overwhelming. And if the topic is completely new, you can still use analogies. Suppose you are learning electricity for the first time. Think of electricity like water flowing through pipes. The current is the flow of water, and the voltage is the pressure pushing it along. Resistance is like a narrow section of the pipe. It slows the water down, and the pressure builds up to push it through. The same trick works for any subject. You can take something totally unfamiliar and link it to something you already know. Your brain loves connections, so even when the topic feels brand new, you can create a framework that makes it easier to understand and remember. Finally, lock it in with active recall and spaced repetition. That's how short-term information becomes long-term knowledge. That's how learning sticks. So if there's one thing to remember, it's this. Your brain can handle any topic as long as you give it the right structure and connect it to what you already know. And now I want to hear from you. What's the hardest topic you've ever struggled with, and how would you try this method on it? Share your answers in the comments.